Hey, what's up, YouTube? Got a treat for you here. This is a 2007 Yamaha Virago XV250. Purchased from my grandparents a couple months back. It had been stored under a barn with a tarp covering it for about the past 10 years here. Went ahead and hit it with a pressure washer. It looks pretty nice, actually, in pretty decent condition. All except for a dent in the gas tank right there. You can see I didn't strap it down too well before transit, and that's my fault, so got to fix that. Went ahead and put a charge on it, or a new battery charge. Wouldn't start. Checked spark plugs, they had good spark, so carburetor was the culprit. Fuel system, right? So went ahead and pulled that sucker apart, and you can even see there's a few beetles in here. This thing was not ready to go. Yeah, there's two beetles right there underneath that butterfly valve. Anyway, so as you can see here, man, it was like lime green nuclear looking Mountain Dew. Had been sitting in this thing for 10 years. Crystallized, made these little stalactites hanging off these jets right here. The float wasn't even moving. Like, that thing was straight solid. So hours and hours of cleaning and solvents later, I got the thing looking good. Move on to the intake. You can see the air filter. Oh man, it's looking pretty rough. And obviously somebody had been living in there for a few years, a decade, and accumulated a wealth of acorn shells. Free rent. I went ahead and decided I didn't want those mirrors or those handlebars. That is, that fits the cruiser style, but I wanted to change it up. These more street style kind of handlebars were much easier for me to operate this motorcycle, so I went ahead and swapped them out. I also went ahead, changed out all the lights from incandescents to LEDs, which required quite a bit of knowledge from other YouTube videos on how to, swap out relays and, splice in diodes so I wouldn't get those crazy hazard light effects and ridiculous light patterns that you get from going from regulars to LEDs.
So it's not that I don't like this color or the paint job. It's more or less I don't like what's happened to the back up here. It's got this dull finish to it. When you wash it, it's actually pretty glossy. It looks pretty similar to the gas tank and the plastic pieces, but I don't know if it's just been dirt, sun bleached, or what, or why this is. Now, I was recommended that I should put a clear coat on it. That might bring it out, but I'm going to try doing something differently. As you can see, I've currently got a good 4.5, 5-inch long dent here that I'm trying to take out. You can see it. I tried it once, but a little bit of it is popping out right there. It's just this dent occurred in transit. It wasn't securely fastened and it fell over on a lawnmower, and the lawnmower had a bar that went across and dented it. So I'd like to get this dent out before I go ahead and work on all this paint job I'm trying to do. So let's be the beginning.
All right, so this is my first attempt in non-destructive dent pulling here. Didn't go too well, but I learned a lot from this here. All right, so an attempt to fix that dent in the tank and clean up the rear fender. I went ahead and I started stripping this puppy down. Rear fender, the little support fender underneath it, took that out. A lot of other things you'll see. I basically stripped this thing down to the frame and attempt to paint everything the scheme that I wanted it to be. Tip of the day is take pictures, videos, tape with notes, whatever you need to, as far as removing all these different pieces and the hardware and fasteners that go along with each. That way it makes it so much easier putting it back together. Helped me a lot.
All right, so this was the structural piece underneath the actual fender down there. But the idea is to go back in there the way it was, lower it a little bit so it doesn't stick so far out, but it'll just do something like that. But want to weld up, well, I'll take this off, weld that up, weld these up, and then just grind this down a little bit, make it flush, and then when I paint it, it'll be covered. Also, no, that's what's fine, that's what I'll get. But it'll be a little bit lower because I got some Honda Rebel 250 shocks, so I'm going to replace these. I go about 1 inch lower, and that's the plan. Plugged it, grind down, working on building a setup.
All right, got one of my good friends to let me use his TIG welder and fabbed it, sanded it down, right?
Prime.
Make it look good.
Paint. Oh yeah. Nothing done right is ever done easy. I had to paint this motor, or at least clean it up and paint it, because there's certain spots that are rusted or the coating's rusted off. So, gonna paint everything I want now. And I found out how good I am at taking things apart. Let's see how good I am at putting things back together.
Two coats of VHT flame-proof primer, and then follow that up by 3 coats of the header paint from VHT, the flame-proof high temp flat black.
All right.
Paint.
Rear
I think that
fender's
looks a little
primed.
better than the gloss
Front fender.
that I've seen out there, but
The 2
we'll see
side
how well it
panels
holds
for
up
the
to
relay
it if I
and
spill
the
gas on it.
fuse box, or what do you call it on the side. And the front sprocket have all been primed with plastic primer. They were all sanded with like 300, 320 grit sandpaper to create a profile. And now we're off to paint the exhaust. Also, degreased and cleaned the rear swing arm best I could. There's a few spots of rust which I might hit with a little Scotch-Brite or something to clean up. And then also I scrubbed this as best I could with a wire brush, but there's still a bunch of rust inside there. I couldn't get with the wire brush. I might hit it with something else. Of course I'll hit it with something else, but then that'll be next as well.
I went at it at the exhaust with some 300 grit sandpaper, and then cleaned it up with some acetone, getting ready for the prime. VHT, the high temp primer again. Cleaned the rear tire.
Rear's
here,
been cleaned,
took it
sanded,
off,
primed, 2 coats.
cleaned as best I could,
Frame has been
taped it all
washed,
up,
took it out there, scrubbed
and
it
got
up.
it ready for prime.
Just need to sandpaper some rust spots and then hit it with roll bar chassis paint. Everything else has been primed. Ready to roll, except for the gas tank and the front wheel needs to be done next. Okay. This is gonna look like minus the clear coat, of course, there's a clear on there. With the orange peel, whatever it comes out to be, I'm not gonna try polishing it. That's the front and back will look like when I get the front off paint. Frame looking super nice. Oh yeah, dog. Oh yeah. Exhaust flat, just like the motor. Everything else semi-gloss black, not really gloss, but and everything else be graphite. Haven't got all the plastic pieces in the back here yet. There's still 7 days primer waiting. Everything else, yes sir. Aircraft paint remover here. This is it. Ready to roll. Go ahead and sand it like it says, and then apply a coat in one direction and let it sit and wait until it starts blistering. See where it goes. Sanded, wiped down, ready to start applying. Even though it says intended for use on automotive surfaces designed specifically to remove cured 2-component urethanes and epoxy finishes, which I'm pretty sure that's what this is, and it did not do squat to it.
All right, went ahead and busted out the dual action sander, 300 grit sandpaper, cleaned up the dent here, and created a profile that the Bondo would adhere to. Put the first layer of Bondo on there, sanded it down, and took off too much, so I had to go back and apply a second layer. And just be careful when you feather this stuff in. You know, it'll show with a good paint job. So I feathered it in nice and smooth, and I was happy with the results. I went ahead and I heard some rumbling inside. I shook the tank up, and I could tell there's something in there. So got a little air gun out, pressed air, and blew out all these chunks of rust. So fuel filter in the future.
It says 2 light coats and then a 3rd wet coat or more wet. Oh, a bug got stuck in there. Oh well, I'll get them off. First coat done though. All right, 3 coats down, primer. And anything, you might just see an outline where it's drying more for where the Bondo is, but yep. All right, prime job's done. Next will be the graphite. Sanded these down because they had a few spots that was just really thick and bumpy, so I went ahead and sanded them down and hit them again today. It takes 7 days to cure, so I did that last. Well, I sanded it yesterday, but the paint was already cured for over a week. So that's today. Take out the handlebars.
Went ahead and removed the hidden portion of the rear
bit,
cylinder exhaust. Primed, painted with VHD.
So both the brake,
flameproof.
Clutch side have been repainted. We'll sand it a little bit and repainted. And just removing all the tape now. Oh, I also did polish both of these, the brake and the clutch bars, because they were looking pretty grungy. They're not perfect, but you know, I don't know, maybe I'll change them out or paint them in the future, but right now that's what I do, is just polish them. Motor's in and mounted. Look at that, what the crap. Yep, did some touch up right here. Certain spots that I touched, so it scratched. But other than that, pickles good out of here. Alright, just cleaned her up, polished it, and put top coat of the base coat on. Of course it looks glossy now, but it'll dry. But yeah. Gonna look good once I get done with the 2K clear coat. Yeah. Alright. 2K cleared on. Yep. And this one as well. Clear coat is on. I think it's gonna look good. I'm undecided as to if I'm going to even use this fender or this chain guard, but we'll see. Might look cooler without it. Went ahead and cut out these to be as spacers, since these were about 3/8 inch thick, and it's got to accommodate for that bolt that goes through the rear swing arm. So, yep, cut them out and paint them.
Alright, so went ahead and swapped out the rear shocks with some Honda Rebel 250 rear shocks. They're about $40-50 on Amazon or on eBay or something. Anyways, lowered it about 1 inch to 1.5 inches. I haven't noticed any change in operation or riding other than the seat's a little lower, but I think they look good. Alright, so from this picture you see 2 things. One thing is the rear fender's a little too high, so I'm going to have to modify that, drill out a different hole and modify that so it'll sit a little lower. Also, later on I'll speak to the fact that I don't like the way that rear seat looks. It looks ridiculous.
So one of those moments where you just
take off that cover,
pretty happy with
cut
yourself.
it down with a knife, and
I noticed this sucker had a little bit of play in it when I was sitting on it. I put my foot up there and this thing still, I mean, I know it's got rubber little bushings in here that allow a little bit of motion, but that's plainly supposed to be so you don't get so much vibration on your feet, I'd imagine. Anyway, it was moving, so I was like, you know, I'm gonna go tighten the sucker down. So I had it at about 43 foot-pounds, tightened it down, got up there on it. It was still like super squishy. Like step on this and the whole thing would start moving. I don't remember it moving at all last time. So anyway, went ahead. I'm put it up to 75, maybe that's what it's supposed to be. Cranked down 75. Well, as you can see, it started bulging through the end right here. And then I proceeded to strip the entire sucker out of the frame. Awesome. So, looks like I'm gonna be TIG welding anyways. Gotta weld this sucker to the frame now. Alright. So far, I'm gonna trip up on a small thing like this. Yep, that'll be the next one. Cleaned it up as best I could, chamfered it so I could have more penetration into that joint, and yeah, we'll see what we do. Went ahead and set up the welder, the HP 201DX. Got that gas hooked up, and gonna practice on a few other pieces that my dad had for me to fix for him, some door hinges or something like that. But yeah, we'll see how it goes.
So it's always good to go ahead and practice, make sure you've got your settings on your welder right. Went ahead and did a few things my dad wanted me to do. These are some door hinges, and got my heat right. Tacked it up and put a pass on the stud. Went ahead and painted it to match the frame, and there we go. All right, so I had two decals I liked a lot. One was the We the People with the battered looking American flag here, and the other one was this vintage Yamaha sticker or decal. I went ahead and stuck one on each side just to see what they look like, but I could not for the life of me put this We the People, it's a larger decal, on this rounded surface without getting these little small deformities in the decal. So I went ahead and went with the vintage Yamaha, and that's what it came out with right there. And I'm pretty pleased with it. It fits the motif of the bike, or the paint schedule, if you ask me. Went ahead and applied the 2K clear coat. This is a Spray Max 2K clear high gloss. As you can see, came out really well. This is the first coat. There's a little haze right there towards the rear, the top side. However, once it actually cures, that haze goes away, and it's just a little thicker area. So I'll just make a note to apply a little thinner in that area next time. But it's not going to matter once you buff it out anyway. So I think it came out all right. Next would be the seat. Went ahead and hit that sucker with a bread knife, serrated edge bread knife, just to get the form. And then after that would be the belt sander, just to feather in the rough edges. And I just like the way it looks better, and it feels pretty good. It's like a nice saddle. So yeah, I had some extra 304 stainless 18 gauge material that I could make some brackets. Went ahead and decided I wanted to do a vertical license plate mount. So this is me setting it up right here, getting ready to fab that up.
Like so. What I'll do is I'll just tack it, and then I'll bend it around, tack it, bend it around, tack it, bend it around, tack it. So hopefully it has some sort of contour, some of that shape. And I'm also going to recess it so it's not, sticking out like this. I'd rather have it like recessed like this, maybe like right in the middle. Yeah, maybe right in the middle might be a good idea right there.
So for anybody getting into fabrication, if you got thin metals like this, I should have went ahead and stitch welded just little small patches rather than a whole pass down this whole length. But the idiot that I am, and just wanted to practice with my new TIG welder, I went ahead and do a whole pass. Just distorted the metal a little bit, and took a little bit of coercion with a hammer and a vise, but I ended up getting it where I wanted it to be. That's that applied and installed down there, with also some little LED lights for nighttime. I also had to have a daytime running brake light.
Starting the 10-minute cure. It's been about 30 seconds of running so far, but see a little bit of smoking on this side. But, a little bit of gas came out up here. Dripped right here on the side, man. I'm not sure I was going to screw it up, but daggone it. Let's go for 10 minutes and then let it cool for 20 for the first iteration.
All right, so at this point, I didn't have the vinyl for the seat cover yet, but I thought it looked pretty sweet. Got that cream color looked pretty decent on there, I thought, but went ahead and got the vinyl finally, and I was impressed with the material. It's pretty stretchy, and went ahead and threw it on there, and I think it looks pretty good. It actually fit the contour. I was worried if it was going to be stretch across that, but actually it fit pretty well. All right, so I just wanted to show you guys the change, the LEDs from the incandescents. Much brighter. I feel like this is going to help me be seen a little better and make it a little safer to ride this thing. I also went ahead and flipped up that brake light on the top. So it's now upside down, or right side up, flipped up. Anyways, the light that would normally show on the plate now shines up on my back, adding just a little bit more light to help me be seen from the rear end. But yeah, that's about it.
All right, that's the finale. Sucker's done.